You're about to give up on your medical school dreams because your grades are just too low. Your teachers have said to you, you're not going to get into medical school. You want to settle for a career that you're not going to be happy in simply because someone showed you you can't do it. Don't be stupid. This is week 2. I'm your big sister now. If this is your first time seeing me, hi, I'm Fortunate. I'm 26. I am currently a 5th year medical student, just finished 5th year at Imperial College London, and my YouTube video is all about sharing my life experiences, my experiences with medicine, how I got to where I am today, in hopes that I can help someone else who needs it. Because I remember when I was a teenager, constantly searching on the internet to see if there's anything that I can find that was similar to my situation. And now that I am on the other side of things, I want to be able to do the same for someone else as well. Let's get right into it. You're about to give up on your medical school dreams because your grades are just too low and your teachers have said to you, you're not going to get into medical school. They've advised you to choose a different career because that's just the best chance you've got, really. Now you're at a point where you want to settle for a career that you're not going to be happy in simply because someone showed you you can't do it. The good thing is that you are currently watching this video and I'm about to help you awaken your dreams to study medicine again by sharing my story. Picture this. I was 17. I just moved into the UK with GCSE equivalent. So I'm from Nigeria. We call it WAEC. It's similar to GCSEs. I think it's a bit harder than GCSEs, but that's a story for another day. My grades at the time were B's, C's and a D in GCSEs. I wanted to study medicine. So I started to research, how do I study medicine? I found out that I have to do A levels, so I said okay, cool. And so I decided to apply to different sixth form across London. I started to get rejections left, right and center because my GCSE grades were not good enough to do A levels in biology, chemistry and maths, let alone do medicine. So they will say to me, well, the only option we have for you is to do a BTech level 2. Not even level 3, level 2. I kept trying, and then at the very last minute, literally the last day of enrollment into A levels for that year, I found a sixth form. This was a state sixth form. In fact, I'm going to say the name. Shout out to Newham Sixth Form College for giving me the opportunity to do A levels. They were the first and only sixth form that allowed me to do A levels in biology, chemistry and maths with my nonsense GCSE grades. Okay, they gave me a chance, but that chance came with conditions. I was told that I was going to be put on probation and my predicted grades were 3 Ds. They said, well, if you work really hard, you could possibly get a C, but let's put you on probation. Let's see how you're doing. If you're not doing really well, you're going to have to do a BTech. So I said, well, thank you so much for giving me a chance. I'm going to prove you wrong. I didn't say this to them in person because obviously how could I just said it in my head. I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. What I did really was I went back home a few months after starting my A levels. I decided to print out on an A4 paper 3 A stars. I pasted it on the wall in my room so that I would wake up every single day and see my grades, because the Lulu is the Solulu, and if you're a Christian, that's called faith. Serious, crazy faith. I sat down and I said, I'm gonna get 3 A stars. This time around, I studied differently from when I did my GCSE equivalent. So for my GCSE equivalent, I was running completely on vibes and intelligence. I didn't know that to get top grades, you need to actually sit down and study like your life depends on it. I just thought, well, I'm intelligent, I could just go and do this exam and I'll be fine. But newsflash, that was not the case. For A levels, I didn't want to take that chance again. So I decided that yes, I was going to put in the work. I was going to study. I was using the specification. I was putting in those hours staying behind after school so I could study as much as I can, and I was making sure to do those past paper questions and look at the mark scheme really well, every single thing on that mark scheme to the very detail. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did struggle in my first year of A levels. So year 12, I was struggling a lot in maths. Like, I was still getting a C up until the first term of year 13. I was doing a bit better in biology and I was doing quite well in chemistry. I was not worried about it, but maths wanted to be the weapon fashion against me, but God said no. One thing I made sure to do was ask people who were doing really good at maths, like, how are you doing it, just so that they can guide me through the process. With all of those things put together, 2019 came, and then I sat my A levels and I got 2 A stars and an A. Yeah, I was super happy. I couldn't just go and apply to every single medical school because I still had my horrible GCSE grades following me around, so we had to be strategic. What I did was look at universities that didn't care so much about your GCSEs. Looking for universities that cared less about your GCSEs, but they cared much more about your A levels and your UCAT and BMAT at the time. And that's how I was able to get into medical school at a top university in the world. I actually got into Imperial with my nonsense GCSE grades. My A level grades were fantastic. I did well enough in my UCAT and BMAT to be able to get myself an interview and get into medical school. So this is completely possible. Having said that, I know some people are going to say, well, my A levels are also nonsense. How do I get into medical school? Now, if your A levels are nonsense, it is not completely the end of the world. There are other options that you can consider. There's foundation entry medicine. It just means that you will do an extra year. If you do really well in that year 0, then you can go on to start year 1 of medicine. King's College London does it. There are other universities which I do not know off the top of my head. And the other option is graduate entry medicine. With graduate entry medicine, you have to have done a BSc before then applying into medical school as a graduate. Instead of doing the standard 5 years of medicine, you're doing 4 years instead. But a lot of the time, most unis want you to have done really well in your BSc. So get a first class or a 2-1. The caveat to doing a BSc before getting into medical school is a lot of people just think, well, let me just do anything. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid when you're picking the BScs you want to do. Don't be stupid when you're picking your insurance choice. A lot of people make this mistake. I did as well. They make this mistake of putting just a random science degree. Make sure that your insurance, or if you're doing a BSc, is something that if you didn't get into medical school, you will be completely happy to do that degree. Don't just put a random medical biochemistry science nonsense there that you're not really passionate about and you don't really want to do. Another mistake I see people do a lot is that they do a BSc where there's this offer of, or if you do really well in the first year of that BSc, you can transfer into medicine in the second year. That's a big, fantastic scam. What these universities do is they only pick the first, probably only 5 people out of the year will actually get into medicine. But newsflash, every single person on that degree wants to do medicine. You are the one that is cooked. Make sure that whatever BSc you're doing, you actually want to do it if you didn't get into medicine. And it's actually going to make you money because you are spending money. This brings me to the end of my videos. I try not to make these videos really long because who wants to be listening to another person yapping for 30 minutes? Also, it's easier to edit when it's short. If you've got any question for me at all, do not hesitate to leave a comment, or better still, leave me a DM on my Instagram and I would get back to you or do a little video like this again. Thank you so much for staying up until the end. Please do subscribe if you find this channel useful. Recommend it to your friends and family. Show me some love, please. I'm begging you, but I'm not really begging. I'm just saying we can be friends. Do you get me? Okay, I'll see you later. Bye.